enough that I actually run the thing. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this June 11th, 2024 edition of the Cross Project Council of the OpenJS Foundation. I'm going to try to run this meeting unless my Wi-Fi runs really bad, in which case I think Joe is going to be able to step in. Benjamin graciously put meeting notes in the chat here. If you haven't already, make sure your name is in it. And please help take the minutes as we move forward. We're going to take about 20 minutes.
Oh, no.
So actually, like in 22 minutes. Okay, so it's not going to work, is it?
Oh, you're back.
Maybe try cutting your camera.
Yeah, I'd maybe
try cutting your camera, maybe. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to try that.
All right.
So I'm waving to you all now. So I'm sorry. I'm in an area with bad Wi-Fi and bad 5G network too. Anyway, we're gonna do a private session at the end of, well, at the bottom of the hour to manage the nomination for the Code of Conduct team, and we're gonna sort of like rush through the agenda in the meantime. And so I think we should start with any announcements.
Tomorrow we have a program committee meeting. It's not on the public calendar, but you are welcome to attend. So if you are interested in helping us plan our event participation for this year and next, you're welcome to join us. Give me a shout and I'll send you the information.
Yeah, just a heads up too, the security meeting moved a little bit earlier on Mondays, but I can't remember what time, but it's in the calendar. Cool.
Love it. Awesome. Do we have board updates that we need to share with the CPC? I'm confused as to whether we did share them or didn't. We
did share a couple of weeks ago, I believe.
All right, because like the timings change and then I'm all mixed up. So nothing new on the board side. Staff updates, we did briefly talk about one of them before the call already. On the legal front, like anything so I'm just going to share the label
I
here.
had I had a pretty extensive list I had in front of our legal team. They said there are some of them that the LF has sort of solved. We are independent and have to use our own legal, but I'm working through the different leadership teams at the Linux Foundation to get their best practice so we don't run up huge legal fees on our side, reinventing the wheel. So I should have an update soon. Our attorney's been on vacation, but working with his team.
All right, cool. Well, that's great to hear. Sorry, please.
Just in addition to that, I'm also looking into some DCO best practices. So there's two issues I know of that need to be updated once I get those. So there's an outstanding issue in Node, and then the VizGL project, as part of their onboarding, was like, hey, what are the best practices for implementing this? So as soon as I get some clarity there, I'll update everything.
Wonderful, thank you. And then we have the nonviolent communication strategic workplace conflict that we discussed briefly in the pre-meeting. Robin, if you can share like any updates you have there, I think that would be super useful.
Yeah, I think I mentioned earlier, we had a proposal from someone who did LF training early on. It was just something we couldn't afford. So I have another outreach to someone that Wes recommended. So waiting to hear back and coordinate with her.
Wonderful. And I think we also wanted to add that if the Node project wanted to look into a solution directly for on the project itself, they also absolutely could set up a proposal for this, and that's another way of moving that conversation forward if needed. I think that's it on that's it on the staff updates. All right, awesome. Let's get started on the actual agenda. I'm rushing us through a bit because we're ending at the bottom of the hour. So, issue 1313, 2024 Foundation Project Health Survey.
Yeah, so this is our heartbeat survey, and it was sent out about 2 weeks ago via the private mailing list as well as Slack and a GitHub issue, and we don't have a ton of responses. I would say the most active projects have already responded, which is great, but we might need to chase a couple other folks. So I would maybe Paul, I'll work with you on some additional reach out here. But yeah, if you are the lead on one of the projects and you haven't filled out this survey, there's like 4 questions. It's super quick. I would ask that you do so. And you can always reach out to me if you have questions.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for the additional context.
Just as a quick question. So like, for example, in the Node project, that went to all the TSC members, or?
Did I send it? I didn't send it to, I sent it to the CPC private list. I didn't send it to each project's, various mailing lists.
We have a maintainer lead list as well, you added, I believe.
I think I mailed it to that too. Yeah, I can double check. Yeah.
Which did not include the full TSC, Michael. So for example.
Yeah, okay, no, I was just like.
Yeah, we would hit chairs, not the full TSCs.
Yeah, I was more asking because like, I could certainly, I didn't know whether it went to all the TSC members or like to our CPC reps or whatever, but like, that was just my question. So it makes sense that it would go to like the CPC reps from the project.
Yeah, just very briefly, I think this is an interesting question because I'm just realizing as we're having this that I don't know whether the people that should have been filling this on the AMP side, for example, are aware of it. And I also don't have means to directly check, right? So
I have the leads, like at least 1 or 2, sometimes 3, but mostly 2 leads for every project that are not necessarily CPC reps.
Sure.
Yeah.
So maybe I think what could be useful is sort of like midway through, if you're not seeing anything from some of the folks, to do some outreach to the folks who are in the CPC who can then go talk to the folks who are in the projects. If that makes sense?
Yeah,
Yep.
we've also been hitting them for Sovereign Tech Fund infrastructure and for the ESP program. So we do sort of touch base regularly.
Right, I saw this, yeah.
Yeah, so it does require a little bit of, chafing down
Sure.
their preferred communication channel, whether it's Discord or Slack or email. So get them.
All right.
Mhm.
Awesome. Well, looking forward to get more answers into that survey. Issue 13.7, archiving the hospital run project.
That was moved to Meredith. Claudio pointed out it's still on the homepage, I think with the scrolling logos, but I think that's been pretty well closed. I think we could close that issue, I guess is what I'm saying.
This is
No?
so this is a really good first test of our new project lifecycle doc, right? That has archived in it. So I copied over like all the entire checklist into this issue. I just need to go through and see. I assume most of these are done, but I just want to check off all the things and ensure that. So I'm just sort of checking the boxes there. Yeah.
Okay.
Does archiving a project actually require the CPC to approve it at some point?
Yes, it does, I think. If memory serves.
Let us know.
Historically, in practice, again, what's documented and what's in practice has not been the case. So look at jQuery UI and jQuery mobile, we did not have CPC approval, so.
It seems like there are different categories. If a project is itself deciding to sunset itself, then the CPC shouldn't be able to block that. However, if not the project is deciding to sunset it, then the CPC absolutely should be involved in that.
I agree.
Yeah, the exact wording here is decide in collaboration with the CPC if the project needs to be archived or whether a call for maintenance is warranted, right? So like the project has just said that, so I think, Jordan, this just reinforces what you just said.
So if we're doing the process, let's do the process and let's, tune it as we go. I like your approach, Benjamin. I think we should do that. All right, cool. Moving on to 1300, improving the security posture of the CPC. I have literally no memory of what the last steps of this were. And I'm concerned as I'm full.
We were at the there was a working session and we had some fields up, and Ben kindly created the Google Forms document, and some folks had some comments on some things to patch in there. I have not looked at it since. It's probably in good shape.
Yeah, that's a really accurate summary. I was just waiting, letting that issue marinate a little bit before I went through and just made all the form changes. But yeah, I think we're maybe I'll do that next week. I think that's probably enough time. And then the intake form is complete.
Amazing. Perfect. All right. So let's hopefully we can close this in a couple, like in the next call. Well, 1298 we're not going to look at now. We're going to look at in the private session. So we can just skip that. 1297 is documenting the COC team selection process.
Toby, you're roboting again. Yeah, you're cutting out.
Okay, well, that's unfortunate.
Okay. Now you're back.
So I'm gonna now it's better.
It's better now. Real quick interjection. There are still some unresolved comments from the security posture forum feedback. Like you had some suggested wording changes, Toby, and it's still the old. Those have not been updated or disagreed with, such that they should not be updated or anything like that. So just FYI on that, there might be still some proofreading to do on that item.
Thank Chris. My understanding from Benjamin's comment was that he was going to letting the issue marinate. It was essentially going to pull those changes in at some point.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I see him nod. So that was my understanding. Okay. Cool. But thank you for asking for clarification for this. So going back to 1298, if I'm no longer cutting off right now, and 1297. So 1298 is actually selecting the code of conduct team members, and 1297 is documenting the selection process as we do that, because the idea was we had the basic stuff down and wanted to, instead of just like inventing process and policy, just actually run through it and do it as we go. So that's the idea of those two issues. I don't think we need to get into them now because we're going to spend a half an hour in the private session talking about the community member selection process. So let's move into 1277, which is the new ecosystem sustainability program. Can't we close this one?
Yep, probably. I can just give an update. We did a town hall meeting for our maintainers about a week and a half ago on Friday the 31st. We have a recording of that in the deck. We sent it out. If you didn't receive it and would like to see it, there's a recording. I can forward it to you. Joe Eames, who's our partner lead at Hero Devs, joined us. And we've been rolling out the program, doing project briefings, probably 2 or 3 a week we've been sending out. So again, if you want to jump on this sooner rather than later, give me a shout, but you'll start to see intros to Joe. And then as other, hopefully new partners come on board, you'll meet them too. But yeah, I think we could close it.
Awesome. Let's do that on hold. If people have questions, have concerns, or are struggling with getting the program to do what it is that they want, like the CPC is the place to sort of like have those conversations and make sure that everything is running smoothly for the projects. So like show up with questions and concerns if like anything happens at some point where you're I don't know, struggling or unhappy with a decision or have like, lack clarity somewhere. All right. Moving on to 1263, document best practices for project organization. Oh, we're still waiting on Express. Is this correct?
Yeah, Wes reported in our CPC a couple weeks ago that they have some competing priorities. I know they're finishing up an audit and other things, so I think it's on their list, but not top of their list this week.
Okay, I'm just adding this to the issue. Should we leave it like this, or should we put it remove it from the agenda and get back to it like in a few weeks?
Yeah, I would remove
What do you
it from the
think?
agenda.
Yeah.
I mean, the advice the aggregate advice on that issue is also already what NVM has always done. So and I'm sure there's more projects that follow it. It's like the GitHub de facto standard. So it's fine to document that and link to GitHub's docs. But I don't know what we discuss in the meeting about it.
I can't speak for Wes, but you might not want to block on progress from the Express team because there are a lot of other demands on its time. So, yeah. I'm not sure when they would have time to work on that.
I don't have opinions. I mean, this is not a huge priority for me. I initially opened this issue because people were having this conversation somewhere, and it felt like useful to write it down. If people believe there are a faster way to get to a better result, I'm all ears.
Is like the title of the issue is very general, but then okay. So is it document best practices? Is this meant to be comprehensive, like and including like security best practices and all of the above and team management and all that sort of thing?
My understanding, looking at the title of the issue and what's in it, is that it has to do with project organization in GitHub, like literally. And it isn't more than this. I think it was more a question of like, where should things like governance.md belong, and things like this. But again, now this has been like open for like a few months, and I know that I added this here because we're having a conversation somewhere about this topic, maybe another issue, maybe like the Slack channel, I'm not sure. And people are arguing or disagreeing about what it would look like, or like not having this information was spelled out as a problem. So I think that's the context for this, right? Like to your point, Chris, like another point here could be, well, let's just write something up and put it in the CPC repository and then iterate from there. I mean, that seems also reasonable. I don't think, I agree. I don't think we should take a huge amount of time to get something like this on paper.
Yeah, I mean, if the scope was literally just limited to the community health files, that's perfectly fine. But just just which should just be clear about the scope, so we're not like trying to pile onto this all kinds of guidelines that it was not meant to include.
Yeah, so I would suggest then that we retitle the issue to talk about organization for community health files, and then take it off the agenda, and then it's just a task of somebody writing something out.
I like that. Specifically around health files, actually, that's a better framing than what I wrote. Yeah, just essentially waiting for pull request, right, at this point.
Right.
Perfect. I like this. That's good. All right, we have 2 minutes left. Is there one issue else that we should tackle?
No, just a few of those left are ones that, again, were on my itemized list with details for our law firm.
Right.
Now sending through, so those are the big ones, I think.
Okay, so last thing before we go into the private session, let's discuss what we work on in the working session next week. Any pressing desires?
We just knock
Wow.
out 1263 if it's not already closed by then, or PR, and rescope that work.
Which one is this?
The one we just discussed about
Oh, yeah.
best practices for org project. Maybe we can close that out if it's
Sure.
not already.
This, or alternatively, start documenting the COC team selection process? Or Benjamin, is that something that you're planning to do?
Not that I can think of. We've had some really productive working sessions in the past, getting me to a good spot, so I don't feel like I'm blocked on anything. I also wouldn't be able to
Okay.
attend next week's working session.
Sure. Well, let's do 1263. And if something better comes up in the meantime,
Toby, you and I are
Let's
both at the
shift.
same conference next week, I believe. So, in Switzerland.
wait, what?
Are you? I'll be at a conference next week.
Oh, this is incredible. Okay, great. Yes, we will be. Oh, that's awesome. I had
So
no
that
idea.
means you
Okay,
and I will not be at the working session next week.
that is a good point. Yes. Oh, cool. This is like entirely unexpected.
Yeah.
All right, well, folks, I think we're going to move into that said, we're going to move into the private session. So yeah, thank you very much. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time. And I'm sorry for the very short session today, and and also not showing my face like most of the time. I think we can stop recording. And